Hello, welcome to another episode of the MTG Arena Run. Today we're going to be taking a look at another two-color deck. Though I'll be honest, this one has pretty much strayed quite a bit from its original shell. If any of you remember the original Chaos and Mayhem deck, this was pretty much a deck that tried to take advantage of both a sacrifice engine and creatures that were being sacrificed. So we had creatures that had decent death triggers, or simply creatures that came with a bigger benefit, and you also had creatures that allowed you to sacrifice. The problem I was having with this one is that it tended to be more of another A plus B mechanic. The payoffs you get from the death triggers were not necessarily great, and it tends to get easily shut down slightly. So I figured, you know what, let's just to heck with this. Basically, the other issue was that the deck was slanting towards it was actually slightly aggro, but it slanted more towards mid-range. It even had a few cards that you had to play in the late game to get the benefit. So if you sacrificed everything, then when you got your open the graves, or then it was a problem. So with that, this is what I opted for instead. Okay, still not sure if the auto detects getting it. There you go. So instead I opted for this version. Basically, I had got inspired from several sources. I saw several people saying, "Oh, I got this card, Cavalcade of Calamity. What can I do to take advantage of this?" And so if we take a look, this one, when a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature's attacking. So before it even hits, it's a ping, so it's a virtual double power. So the idea I had here was, let's just overload the board with a lot of 1/1 creatures. So aside from the 3-foot Light Fiends, I also have kept the Goblin Instigators. In fact, I maxed it out. Added Goblin Gathering, Legion Warboss to make some 1/1s, and Siege Gang Commander to also pay off the 1/1s. If it was just for Siege Gang Commander, this would be really bad. But we got this extra tech called Priest of Forgotten Gods. Now the idea here is, in the early game, people are just playing creatures one at a time. So let's say I play this on turn 2, opponent plays a creature. Turn 3, I can play Goblin Instigator, sack it. And because it's turn 3, I would have a virtual... So I played this one, played this, I get on third mana, I could probably play a Legion Warboss, a Judith, Goblin Gathering. Thank goodness this only has 1 red mana and its casting cost. I could even skewer for full price if I had to. We also have other options like Fireblade Artist, another sack outlet. I only put 2 copies here, only because I didn't want to spend too many wild cards on this. Also, I felt like having something I can spend double black on. Originally, I had... Let's see, where's that guy? I originally had Graveyard Marshal. It was quite good, especially when I was still running Doom Dissenters as part of the package. But I figured sometimes it's a bit clunky to get double black this early. Well, it's clunky, but at least on this... But at least this one, the optimum point is turn 3, so it's not that bad, and I probably might have red mana. So I just kept this at 2. I also wanted to be able to cast downs if I had to. Still kept Plague Crafters. This one's an interesting one, especially when you're only sacrificing half a card, or this one's half a card, could be up to 1/3 of a card or whatnot. Iseret, because Priest of Forgotten Gods gets killed very easily, as well as Fireblade Artist. Though to be fair, this one's also another lightning rod of sorts. Single copy of Judith. It is a bit of a non-bo with Cavalcade, but it's not like I'm gonna get Cavalcade every time. And this one works quite well, not just with my one power creatures. It just works with every creature I have. Skewer the critics so I can get some early burnout. In fact, if we play enough red, we might surprise the opponent into thinking we're that kind of Rakdos. Some copies will light up the stage. It's a bit sad if we hit these, but usually I get to spectacle on around turn 3, so not necessarily that bad. Okay, might be bad with these cards, but it's still okay with the Rekindling Phoenix. And yeah, actually the other reason I dropped the Doom Dissenters and just went with Goblin Gathering is because Siege Gang Commander. It's a shame that this one requires you to sacrifice specifically a goblin, but it's a lot better than the alternative, which is makeshift munitions. Sure, there's another 2-mana enchantment. If you think of it, if you have a good way of generating a lot of creatures repeatedly, this would be okay. That makes this better for the Boros deck where you have a lot of token makers. Not necessarily this deck. This would be real suicide. If I'm not mistaken, we are running 14, 19, 20, 20. Can't be no 16. We're running 23 lands here. Normally it's 24, but I figured with very few top end cards and they top out at 5, I'm okay with that. Then for my sideboard, against control, Kitesail, Freebooter. Usually, even if all this does is take a removal spell and force my opponent to use a removal spell in this guy, it's quite good. Lava Coil because there are still annoying for toughness targets. Cry of the Carnarium, slight non-bow with our deck, but sometimes we do need this. An additional Plaguecrafter, Fight with Fire because there are creatures with 5 toughness. Vraska's Contempt could be replaced with Bedevil. Banefire is also another concession to the control matchup. Actually, now that I think of it, Cry of the Carnarium might be an issue as a sweeper. Then again, it is well, let's see. There's actually another. You can opt for Fiery Cannonade instead. Granted, we might actually sometimes miss with this, but at least this one's instant speed. This is also a possibility. The other option we can do is, if we get enough creatures, we could just Burn Bright. This can get players out of nowhere, so this is also another good option. That said, that's it for the Chaos and Mayhem. Let's actually put this to the test. So, play a traditional constructed. I didn't bother playing Cascade Constructed this time. Sounded like fun, but the payoff is not that great. You need 4 wins out of 5 just to break even, so you're basically only getting the ICRs as a reward. Not exactly. Don't exactly have that much time. Then watch as I proceed to get smashed down with this one. Let's see. Maybe we might fare a lot better with this one than with Izzet Drakes. I guess it's a case of timing. The case of Izzet Drakes is that you are putting your eggs in playing 1 or 2 good creatures and hoping that they would carry the board. At least here in this deck, we are playing a ton of small creatures, so even if over time we start getting chipped down, we still get to chip down our opponent. We might be able to get into skewer the critics range. I actually considered adding additional burn, like more shocks, more lightning strikes. Problem is that it messes up. It's a bit of a mess against the wrong matchup. So I have to mulligan this. Sure, it'd be nice if I can get red, but if I just get double black, I just have Priest of the Forgotten Gods and not much else. Okay, this is much better. I can Goblin Gathering, worst case scenario. I can cast down, at least. So I'm definitely keeping this one. Also, keeping the Goblin Instigator gives us something to do. So we will have 5 goblins by turn 3. Not exactly... No, 4 goblins. Wishful thinking. Not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but it's still a start. Now, if our opponent plays a Wild Growth Walker, I'm just gonna cast it down. And here comes the Wild Growth Walker. Could also be Merfolk Branch Walker. Seeker Squire, I might also have to just cast it down. Our opponent's doing I sincerely doubt our opponent's doing absolutely nothing if he kept this hand. We could probably be deciding, do I play the Wild Growth Walker first and benefit from future Jade Light Rangers, Merfolk Branch Waters? Or do I just play the Saproling Migration? So it's a 1-for-1. Let's offer the trade. He's probably gonna trade it off. There's no reason not to trade. And let's repeat. Now, at least if I don't get another red source, I can still Footlight Fiend and cast down next turn. This could just be straight up Saprolings. This would be interesting. I actually would prefer to see a Jade Light Ranger right now. Deathwing Talent. Oh, this is straight up Saprolings. Okay. So I'm actually gonna cast this down. Attack. See if I can encourage a block. Probably will. Granted, that's a horrible use of cast down. I'm not so sure what I'm gonna play next. I can set that Cavalcade next turn. And an opportunity to knock out any two power creature with Footlight Fiend. Though they're probably gonna just block this goblin instead. Really could use another red source right about now. So in the straight Saproling matchup, our Yavimaya Sap. So we got one Cavalcade. Okay, if I block, no attacks now. Unfortunately, it looks like our opponent might just build up their presence. So I'm just holding out for second Cavalcade or something better. Definitely a stock list, so yeah, I wish I had more burn. I still have the lava coils. Go. So we're gonna see what our opponent's up to. It's taking their time making decisions. This is stock decks, not could be waiting to play a Poison Tip Archer. Might be a bit of an issue here, but yeah, Poison Tip Archer is a very big issue. We really need to have more burn. I probably need to. Yep, there's the Poison Tip Archer. I should adjust the sideboard to have. I should just adjust the sideboard to have more burn. That's probably the more relevant one. So I'm gonna play out the Rekindling Phoenix, because even if our opponent blocks this, we still get something out of it. Okay. No attacks yet. Down to one card, not a great situation. Yeah, spending on the Deathbloom Talent was not great. Our opponent plays out another Poison Tip Archer, we may have a lot of problems ahead of us. Also, we need to know our opponent has things like fungal infection, so I should not expect this Rekindling Phoenix to come back anytime soon. Path of Discovery, Green Dissenter. Okay, it's not too bad. Okay, that's bad. Let's see if we can encourage our opponent. Because at least if I... Okay. At the least, this one doesn't gain our opponent life. So... I'm actually gonna take the 1 damage and just kill. Iseret, but nothing. I could cast the Iseret, but I'll probably save that for next turn. Let's just Cavalcade. Woefully inefficient. We'll lose the Rekindling Phoenix, but we nuke the Poison Tip Archer at least. gonna nuke this. I'm actually gonna just nuke this one. So now we're in the case where our opponent just cast this one. We will have to play Issaret next turn. So it's whenever another creature, so... Okay, the Death Baron... Slightly irrelevant as long as Doom Dissenter is alive. It's a good thing I didn't nuke this guy. So we will take 4 damage. Got Goblin Instigator to buy time, but not a good idea because every creature that dies pings us for 2. So I'm actually gonna play Issaret now. I can choose to hold back, especially since we know what our opponent's hand is. So my main goal is actually to just Issaret, replay the Instigator. Verdant Force. Okay. That's a real... Well, we can block this. It doesn't have Trample. Still kind of bad for us though. We really need a removal spell. These have Death Touch, so I'm not trading Issaret. This does not have Death Touch. So that's why he's leaving it back. So I block, takes me down to 7. Because it's virtually the same thing. We got Siege Gang, but no way to cast it. So yeah, this is pretty much game for us right now. So I'm gonna concede. I'm just gonna put the Lava Coils in. I don't think Kitesail Freebooter is gonna help us. Cry might help. We will need the Plague Crafter. We will need all our burn. Even the Vraska's Contempt, because that doesn't kill. So that said, we'll drop the Footlight Fiends. Plague Crafter could actually be a liability here, so I'm actually gonna drop those. I'm not sure if our opponent has Planeswalkers here. Could cut 1 Cavalcade and keep the Skewer because we can at least throw it to the face. Angrat's actually a decent choice also. Not so sure what to cut. Usually the problem with Goblin Gathering is if you cut one, you might as well cut them all. I could just cut these 4. I'm gonna cut the second Cavalcade. In fact, I'll cut the third Cavalcade. Let's cut the third Cavalcade. Let's put in 1 Cry. So probably the Cry of the Carnarium should be replaced with just plain old Lightning Strike. Okay, this is a much better keep. We can start with Instigator into Gathering. Not bad. Then we can play Fireblade Artist afterwards. That said, it's still not a walk in the park. Our opponent has the better payoff and probably easier for him to get those. So I can actually just play the Fireblade Artist now. Just start swinging. Yeah, let's get some early damage too. Might even bait the cast down, so that should be fine. At least we got our damage from it, so it's not a big waste of mana. Sacrificing Migration. Sure. Okay, you may sacrifice a creature. I could just sack this one. No, I'd rather take down the saps if I can. Let's see if he's willing to trade. It's a 1-for-1, so he's probably will. Oh, it's not. He might have a Spore Crown Talent. That would explain why he's not. Oh, Deathloop. Interesting thing, I probably won't even attack at all. Ping on the opponent. Blood crit. Play another Goblin Goblin. I guess you can see what I did there. So this is... I have 10 damage on board right now. Well, so 14 damage. Actually, as long as our opponent doesn't kill the Fireblade Artist or any of our other creatures, now here, our opponent's incentivized to trade. I'm not. In fact, I got something better. So I can play Priest, play Goblin Instigator. So I can use this one to start paring down our opponent's board. Probably won't be able to nuke Slimefoot. Hopefully we can get something to cast with the 2 mana, but at least I can do this at the end of our opponent's turn. No rush on this. Now that said, Poison Tip Archer, at least we have an 8-point lead over our opponent. So our opponent has to decide what to do. Actually, if he starts paring down his Saprolings, it's better for us, because that means less for me to hold back and blocking. And you know what? Can't cast this down, but I can cast this down. And let's end the turn. It'll be a waste of the mana, but I'm okay with that. At least I'm... In fact, I can do stuff like double ping, draw a card and what... multiple block, draw a card and whatnot. One should be sending an attack right about now. Yeah, he's decided he can't hold back. So I can kill this one, just generates another sap. Well, he doesn't get the ping. Well, he gets the ping from this, but not from this one. So let's go to blockers. I can just take 5. No blocks. We're not getting what we need, so I'm probably gonna pare down now. Probably should sack a Saproling. Now we're in trouble if we... Well, we're not that in trouble now. Swarm. So yeah, this is a problem one. I need to nuke this one or this one. Okay, I can take the 4, brings me down to 5. I can hit, takes him down to 5. No blocks. Let's sack another gobble. This will exile all of these. But I lose my entire board. He still has this, so it's not great. You know what? Let's force another sack, I guess. Sure if I did the math correctly. We did get an Issaret. Okay, we did the math incorrectly. We ended up losing there. Oh well, so that was quite ignoble, but our opponent got their engine quite reliably while we did not. Really need more burn. So I'm definitely bringing in back the lightning strikes. Shocks, probably keep that Shivan fire. But yeah, definitely bringing back the burn. So in fact, that means Cast Down will have to be a sideboard card. Kind of wish there was... Well, there are some black spells that deal damage. They just kind of cost 4 or 5 mana, so maybe not so great. Let's see what we can do with this one. Well, we do have this hand, so I'll keep this one. Hopefully get something better. So, Memorial to Folly. No, this one's just a bit of superstition on my part. I've had hands where I got something playable, it just doesn't look that great. I mulligan, it turns out to be even worse. At least I have a turn 2 play and a turn 3 play, so I can't complain too much. But I could use something better. I guess even Burn Bright would be nice. Thanks Vicious Conquest. We play Goblin Instigator, so we can at least profitably block this guy. Also, I need to check the wording on Spectacle. Is it damage or loss? I think it's loss of life. Yeah, I need to double check because this one is a very reliable way of triggering Spectacle. I guess it makes sense considering the colors our opponent's in. Vampire. Okay, I'm listening. This is a very interesting take. Legion Lieutenant. So we are not trading. So we really need that burn. And I'm the one getting burned out instead. So not so great for us right now. I sincerely doubt our opponent's gonna attack with Legion Lieutenant. Well, thankfully our opponent's dealt enough damage to himself that let's kind of even the board slightly. Okay, that's not a vampire, that's something. Skewered critics. Yeah, that's 3 power. That's 3 power down. I could just attack with all of these. I'm probably better off just blocking this. But yeah, this is a... It's hard to say it's a mess considering this mess is about to kill us. It's definitely not streamlined, but our opponent did have a good opening. So... Considering our opponent attacked with everything, I'm just gonna... I think I can still take the damage for now. At least let's see if our opponent has something resembling combat trick. Okay, he has removal. Yeah, this is nothing for us. There's Iseret. Probably need to hold everything back again. Yeah, the Venerated Loxodon is an interesting one now. And it's gonna fly. I just know it. It's gonna fly. We don't have, and thanks to us being black red, we don't have enchantment removal. Yeah, that's good. Let's concede this one. So, adjustment, let's bring the removal in. Again, the Plague Crafter is good here though. So let's bring that, bring the Plague Crafter. Bring the Fight and the Contempt. So what will I cut? Again? Kind of sad that I'm cutting the Calamities, but his creatures outclass our small creatures. Our only hope is to get this engine running. I might actually just cut the foot. No, we could still snipe something with Footlight Fiends. I'll cut the Goblin Gatherings. Keep the War Boss. Angrat is useful. Siege Gang is great too, but could be slow. We might have too much removal. I don't believe I'm saying that. Okay, let's just cut the Footlight Fiend. And one Cavalcade. So, this is a possible case where this idea might work better in green-red, where we have a lot more natural one-drops that we want to play. I don't think this might be the best one. Yuck, hard. Considering we need 2 lands back-to-back, this is an auto mulligan. This is better. We can Lava Coil something. We have 2 pieces of removal, just need 1 more piece. Worst case scenario, draw 1 land, we just hard cast Light Up the stage. So we keep opponent mulligans, so at least we're kinda even. So I definitely want to see a 3rd land off the top. I can be greedy and keep this Legion War Boss. No, let's not embarrass ourselves. Let's just try to get the land. Yeah, I really need the Shocks and the Lightning Strikes back. Oh, we got another Lava Coil. So good news, we didn't exactly embarrass ourselves. Well, if I find out there's another land here, yeah, it's kind of... No, that means we just delay 1 turn. It's not too bad. Opponent's not quite stuck. I'm just gonna cast this now. Okay, got a 3rd mana. And then I'm just gonna light this stage. So got an Instigator and a Blood Crypt, so we have plays. That's good news. Normally this would be really bad if it wasn't for the phrase until the end of your next turn. So they've been improving these exile cards so that they give you some extra time. So we got our green play here. Oh, we just need 1 more land for that, so we'll take the life hit. We'll play the Instigator. More importantly, we'll have to kill this sucker. So 1 more mana, we get Siege Gang, we get an engine running. Without the 1 mana, I might just play Crafter. I might just play Plague Crafter, take out 1 guy. Oh, played nothing. First off, let's attack. Maybe we could bait to settle the wreckage. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm gonna be so annoyed if our opponent actually has a Deafening Clarion. I would not expect it given the cards that he's played. But then again, I have been wrong before. Let's see, did we just give our opponent the game on a silver platter? See, he named Vampire again. He's played Lyra. We can fight, or we can play Crafter. Let's fight. Oh, that forces our opponent to concede. So at least... So we definitely made the right choice in keeping the fight with fire in. I might be tempted to put things like Kitesail Freebooter now that we know... Well, we knew our opponent had to cast down. I guess Banefire as a backup... because cast down is not gonna hit Lyra either. Vraska's Contempt will. I'm gonna do something dumb. I'm gonna cut the Rekindling Phoenix. And I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut the light. I'm gonna cut that. I'm also gonna cut... No, Angrat can still work. We can still take Lyra if we have to. I might cut a Siege Gang, but I'm more likely to just cut... 1 Skewer. Yeah, because the lab... More likely to just cut 1 Skewer. Now, know, Banefire is not exactly the best way to answer a Lyra, but it does give us plays. Also, we can play it early to remove something else, though we are at the mana deficit here. So this one's okay. Fireblade Artist, at least for a threat. Some early removal. One Cavalcade that I probably should have removed. Going for the turn 1 Sky Marcher Aspirant. Okay, really could use another mana about now. Well, we have one more turn, but now is a good answer also. Now, I'm suspecting our opponent is going to play... Yeah, if you kept that hand, you definitely have a second mana. Well, he's hurt himself quite a bit. He didn't have the Legion, he had to build it. So we're probably gonna lose the Vraska's Contempt or the Fireblade Artist. I can see taking the Cast Down or the Lava Coil. But if we take the Fireblade Artist, that makes sense. Let's just cast this guy down. Yeah, so Drill Bit was a good answer. Well, Dusk Legion Zealot, he's drawing cards. Probably not gonna burn that. Let's play it with Memorial and the Cavalcade. So we got a handful of removal and barely any creatures. I also just removed the Goblin Gathering, so... Also note our opponent's... all this damage our opponent did to himself. He just confused the door. I guess we can inspire that. We can play the Legion Warble. Interesting. 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 I have to attack, but we still get to ping our opponent for one, so it's not all lost. Easy block. Or if our opponent just tries to answer this with the Conclave Tribunal, I'm actually okay with it. Really could use another mana now, because I'm pretty sure at this rate our opponent has something big. At least I doubt our opponent will play Lyra Unbreakable Formation. So we take 7 damage off the bat. Yeah, no point blocking these guys, it's indestructible. But not indestructible anymore. So what I can do is I could just Lava Coil and swing. Probably better off holding back though. Really could use another red source, but it's kind of fine, I guess. Yeah, the Unbreakable Formation. Everyone's been poo-pooing this one. Oh, it's just indestructible for a rare? Cast in main phase. No one's laughing. So we got a bunch of trees. Get to hit our opponent down to 7. Neither of these are gonna answer that. We go down to 6. No, we go down to 4. Oh wait, is that it? Cast this one first. Take the hit. Yeah, we had Xaxes there. So our opponent's kind of flooded out. So let's thank goodness for small favors. So we got one win, so we did better than the Izzet Drakes deck last time. Actually, I've been playing the Izzet Drakes a little bit ever since afterwards. It's kind of weird. The deck actually does well a good amount of the time. Performance anxiety on camera? I have no idea. Anyway, doing quite well. Definitely keeping this hand. Could use black mana, but the Goblin Instigator's not bad. And we got turn 1 Footlight Fiend. Opponent mulliganed also, so that's an easy reason to keep. If you have plays, you're better off keeping a full hand with slightly sub. And these are not even subpar plays. These are actually decent plays. So we can even Footlight Fiend into Cavalcade, not have to show the rest of our hand. This is probably better as a surprise. Ooh. Is he gonna ride? That way. So I might just attack and light up the stage. Kinda wish I had run amok. I was desperate to the point I even ran that card. So we got another light up the stage and a Goblin Gathering. Scary to run this one. You know what? Let's just run it. I don't mind if we lose ever. Okay. So we won't get to we will cast Goblin Instigator at the least. Yeah. Sometimes light up the stage that early is probably not a good idea. Especially if you don't draw any more lands. Just play the Goblin Instigator, I suppose. Oh well. It is what it is. Stuck on 2 islands. And all our decent removals and okay, can't block this one. Our opponent's just gonna adapt. Let's see if our opponent actually doesn't, so he has something in hand. He names Phoenix. Yeah, we're not gonna win this one at this rate. Gonna just concede right here. Got a bit too greedy, but our opponent had a much better plan. So that said, Lava Coils come in, Plague Crafter comes in, Contempt comes in. Crive Carnarium, maybe? So let's drop the Footlight Fiends. I'm not gonna drop the light up the stage just yet. Oh, who am I kidding? That's the first thing I usually cut. Aside from the Footlight Fiend. A question that if I keep cutting those cards, would I not just be better off playing actual removal main board? Just skip the Footlight Fiends, put the Lightning Strikes there right off the bat. So we definitely have turn 1 Memorial to Folly. Turn 2 Fireblade Artist. Might eat a shock. It's gonna eat a shock. What a shocker. It's gonna eat a shock. Goblin. Let's play this one. So next turn we just play Cavalcade. The turn after that we play Angrat and probably steal something big. That's nice. It's also converted mana cost 3 or less, so definitely willing to play that. Let's play the Arch last. So Goblin Instigator. Cavalcade. So we'll take the 4 damage first. Opponent thankfully does not have Rekindling Phoenix. No blocks. Opponent definitely has a play here. This deck is not one to keep them. We'll probably lose Angrat in the process unless I hold. I could just hold one token back.
Here be monsters.
Wow. Shock. Okay, so I lose it anyway.
Your crew from my field.
No reason for me to hold back anymore. Just swing with everything. Lose a token. Yeah, no biggie. Generally, the correct place to nuke the non-token because you should expect Judith, and they get extra benefit from the non-token version. Opponent might even just buff this guy right now. So. Does he have a... He probably has another land. Yep, there's the other land. Name's Warrior. No surprise. Guess what's a warrior? Look at Slave Cloud. That would be much more fun. So we get to draw cards at least. I'm gonna end up taking 8. No point sending this one ahead. So if by any miracle we win this game, I'm definitely siding out the Cavalcade. Opponent has a full set of gold chain, so we definitely have a problem in our hands. I know we have lava coils. Could. Opponent had fiery cannonade. Yeah, that was a good sight. Yeah, we should probably run that instead. Well, that was worth a shot. And we did have a moral victory against the girl spellbreaker, but that's it. Yeah, that's not gonna do anything. That's a good game. So it is kind of telling that we did get defeated by some early creature decks, so we really need to gear the deck towards creatures here. Kind of wonder why I did not do that in the first place. So let's rectify that. And well, you did see me win a path, so I might as well just open it right now. Yeah, I really think this was better for it. Cinder Vines, something to look forward to in the sideboard. So we're gonna take a quick break, then we're gonna go right back and fix all the mistakes that we made on that deck. Stay tuned. Okay, once again, you're gonna see me not print this out. But definitely, here's the deck. It's actually quite weird that the... Oh, well, I have been turning off suggest lands. That's also something we need to pay attention to. But that said, we're gonna make a few preliminary cuts first. The Footlight Fiend is... Oh, let's be honest. Cavalcade is gone. Let's put back what should be there. Lightning Strike. At least with the combination of Lightning Strike and Skewer the Critics, you can hit your opponent in the face. So, Vraska's Contempt is still okay here. Cry of the Carnarium is a dud for us. I guess I would rather have flexible removal, so... And look, Bedevil thankfully is double black, so it is a good combination with Priest of Forgotten Gods. So I'm gonna probably sub that out with that. I'll keep the Kite Sail Freebooters. Keep the Banefires. Fireblade Artist seems to be a must-kills, and it did get us relatively close, so I'm actually willing to put a third copy of that. Let's just drop the Footlight Fiend. Playcrafter... crafter is actually quite flexible. And I do want to have more creatures. Goblin Gathering, I'm still willing to keep it, though. Let's be honest. Most games you're you're not likely to cast the second one. This is really more of a limited thing. I originally had Doom Dissenter here. That was what the deck came with. You know what? You don't need that many goblins for Siege Gang Commander anyway. So Goblin Gathering can just can just be replaced with Doom Dissenter. So let's do an analysis check on the deck. I guess, yeah, so our mana distribution is much closer. So we definitely want one less swamp, one more mountain, or better yet, you want to just fill out the Blood Crypts and Dragon Skull summits. We are running 23 lands here though, so let's cut two mountains, cut one swamp. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it makes the deck a lot more expensive. Even 50-50. No, that's not right. So 5 swamps. Kind of scary, but still reasonable. Yeah, 5 and 8. Okay, the other problem is that that's human, goblin, devil. So we can't benefit from something like the unclaimed territory. Also, we have Legion Warboss. That's another good use for the goblin. Do I want a second copy of Judith? She's really optional. Same thing with Iseret. I actually had if I was really going all in on the sacrifice team, I guess Whisper is an optional way to get things back, but we're not running that many creatures anymore this time. Actually, there's a better option to Doom Dissenter, which, wait, where's the one with Afterlife? Orzhov Enforcer. If I was still running Cavalcade, this would actually be a better. In fact, if you're willing to not give up on the Cavalcade experiment, I just cut the light up this. I just cut the light up the stage. Let's just put 2 copies of Cavalcade. Though to be fair, you can just make this a Judith deck. Just exchange these for more of her 1:1. Alternately, you can make this a Burn Bright deck. Instead of though this is probably better in some cases. It gets around Root Snare. That's an important thing. So if your opponent is playing some sort of Nexus deck, this one gets around it just fine. So we can go with that. So probably the 2-play crafters. Yeah, so still 4 skewers. I guess you can actually cut this down to 3 skewers and 4 lightning strikes. You do want to cast this during on your opponent's turn rather than on your own turn. So Banefire and Bedevil. Yeah, so this might be the better version. It's gonna be more expensive. Actually, no, not by much. Yeah, this is how I would definitely run the deck now. I even have some of the extra cards. I might have time to do another version of this. We'll give it a try. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's it for this episode, the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. Let me know if you have had any success with Cavalcade, or let me know if there are any interesting weirdo cards that probably should have a shot. I know other people have tried out the Cavalcade. I figured, what not, let's give it a try. I guess all in on Cavalcade is probably not the best idea, but in support of a general team, I guess we can make it work. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time.